So this is some free thinking on life and the importance of life. And what I'm thinking for now is that well, I'm thinking two things. I'm thinking life is either important or it isn't. So life has significance or life is more incidental and is not a big deal. Now, obviously for us, life is a big deal. But I'm thinking, in the scheme of things, is life a big deal? It's the same way of looking at it like if we were bacteria, for example, and we were living in some corner of a room. To us, we think we're important, but to everyone that lives in the room, we're just dirt to be disposed of. So I am wondering where life fits in the scheme of things in terms of importance. Are we the equivalent of viruses, or are we more significant? And it's such an incredibly tough thing to analyze. I don't see how we can know how important we are in the scheme of things. So a lot, I suppose, depends on whether we meet aliens one day and we can compare notes. But I'm thinking life seems to be quite complex. There's a lot that has to work to make life function. There's a lot that has to be correct and in place in order to support life. And it would seem that all of that effort to keep life functioning, it just seems strange that that's natural and automatic. It seems like a plan behind it would make more sense. But then you run into the whole God and afterlife thing, which is very complicated. So we have to go along with the idea that life came about naturally. Somehow, all of the elements that need to be in place to make life function are in place, and it happened, and so here we are. So that makes me think that if it's happening here, it must be happening elsewhere in what is a supposedly infinite universe. So it kind of goes without saying that there must be other life out there. So obviously the question arises about whether we'll ever meet this other alien life form. And in an infinite universe, that could be impossibly unlikely. It could be just no chance at all. But it could still happen, and I don't know how humanity could handle another life form. I'm wondering if it would be the end of humanity if we were to meet an alien species. And that's not even thinking about how the aliens would see us. I'm just looking at it from our perspective. So I'm thinking it does seem a bit much for life to exist for no purpose. It does seem that there's too much that needs to work in order to make life possible. It seems unlikely that we would be here just automatically and incidentally. But it's also incredibly unlikely to think that we're under control in some way, that we've been placed here by some higher authority. So I am wondering as to the significance of life. On this planet, even, this one planet, there are lots of life forms anyway. So it would seem that life is fairly common and can fairly easily arise. And I have no doubt that other life forms exist on other planets. The complexity of the life form is obviously very different, but whether life exists elsewhere, I think it's fairly obvious that other life has to exist elsewhere. Now, as our technology grows, our ability to travel and see other places will grow as well. And I'm thinking about how our ability to travel now compares with how it was 100 years ago or 1,000 years ago. So, what we will be able to do in terms of travel in 1,000 years just defies belief. We will be able to do so much more, and we can't even conceive of what we will be able to do. The question clearly is if we will get to this future or if we will destroy ourselves, because we've put in place an amazing array of technologies to kill ourselves. We can destroy ourselves. So I'm wondering if we will survive to see this future where we will be able to travel and we will perhaps be able to meet other life forms. I'm wondering if we will survive to this future. For some reason, I'm doubtful. I think for some reason there's a propensity in humanity to self-destruct. It just seems too unlikely that we will keep it together to achieve space travel of any significance so that we could find other alien life forms. It would seem unlikely. There's just too much friction in humankind. Too much desire for control. It's too much evil, basically. I don't know how that can be overcome. It could be a case of that life is just too much for life to handle. Too much complexity. I'm wondering whether to be hopeful about the future, but obviously it's not really an issue for me because I'm gonna be out of here in due course. But I think, like to know we could go somewhere, we could achieve something. It is amazing how we're so self-destructive. There's so many ways, so many issues that could lead to our destruction. And I'm thinking it might not take too much. One of these warlike countries, and there are lots of warlike countries, if one of them achieves the technology to make nuclear weapons, and then we'll use them, no doubt. Part of me wonders how long humanity has left. I have to say that it does seem unlikely we will survive as a species. It seems that within us there is a need to destroy ourselves for some reason. So I'm trying to be hopeful, but it's not easy.